Thank you for clicking on this video. Today we're interviewing Catherine Foxwell. She is the owner of Flora Evolution. So we're going to be talking to her today, and might as well just get started. So my first question for you is, what's your favourite flower to work with and why?
Gosh, that is a crazy question because there are just so many beautiful flowers out there. But I kind of really love the ranunculus, if I'm honest. It is one of my favourites because it is so beautiful. It gets better with age, which I think is always a good thing. Like, for some things get better with age. And the older, and it lasts for ages. So the older it gets, the better it gets. And I've had some ranunculus when I've done weddings and stuff that have lasted in excess of 15 days, and on kind of like day 15 they're at that point where you can see every individual petal, and it's so beautiful. And whilst it's not something that's accessible to all of us, I do think if you have that opportunity to just get that ranunculus in the kind of winter season to spring, then go ahead and treat yourself and enjoy the beauty of these flowers.
The second question for you is, how can we support your business, and kind of how did you get into it? Just tell us about your business.
Of course. So I am a traditionally trained florist. So I actually went to college and I done a City and Guilds diploma in floristry, and I done it part-time because I was working still at the same time. So I done that over 2 years. And yeah, I mean, prior to that, I actually done a few short courses at my adult education college and liked floristry, and the feedback was always quite positive. And so I thought I'll do a proper course and get a proper qualification. And that was kind of like set up more for kind of like working in a shop. But I had a really great teacher who was always, you know, allowed me to push the boundaries and do things differently. And she was like a really big part actually of my floristry journey, because she was always there to say, like, you know, just have a go, try, do something different. And I think even though it was a very traditional course, it allows you to still express yourself, really, which I think is really important in any kind of training that you may do in floristry. And so I done that, and then I went and worked in the industry for a year, freelancing, year and a half. So I worked with lots of different people across the industry. Kind of like, I think it's always a good tip when you qualify, before you set up on your own, to go and learn the trade, work in a shop, work in events, do as much as you can. And especially post-pandemic, there's a big need for freelancers, because there's we've got double the amount of work that we had because we didn't have any last year. And so there are lots of opportunities for people at college to do freelancing. You've just got to look for them and email people, send them in DMs on Instagram, whatever. Some may not come back to you, some will, but you know, you've got to make those opportunities yourself. So I done a lot of freelancing with some really amazing people, and it kind of like compounded my knowledge and taught me things that I didn't necessarily get taught at college. So I done that for about a year and a half, and then I set up on my own doing weddings and events predominantly. And yeah, it's just kind of like taken off from there. I've kind of like, I don't do masses of weddings. I probably do around 20 to 25 a year. Events are picking up again, which are always really nice to do, because you haven't got that as much of that emotional attachment as you tend to have with brides and weddings, which is
it must really like the flowers. That must be like a big part of the main day as well, making sure the flowers are all right.
It can be quite stressful to do weddings, because it is like a really important aspect of a wedding. But I think the more you do it, the more comfortable you become in your own, like, confidence in yourself, and you only get that with doing stuff. And so it's a bit of a, like with any job, it's like a catch-22 situation. Unless you get out there and do it, you never know how to improve, or etc. So yeah, it's a big learning curve, but I would just say be brave and go and have a go and do it. We're learning all the time. We're learning different techniques, different sustainable floristry techniques that weren't necessarily around when I was training a few years ago. And so yeah, it's always a learning process. And like, I guess for college, for people who are going for a traditional college course, I would say, you know, just express yourself, find your style. I believe there's no right and wrong in floristry. There's some stuff that I see that I think, okay, it's probably not what I would have done, but it's still beautiful in its own sense. And so, you know, push
It's a
about.
very expressive form, isn't it?
It's really expressive. And I think like with anything, it goes through cycles. Like some stuff's really popular now that may not be popular in a year's time. And so, you know, for me personally, I'll always do what I'm comfortable doing. I won't necessarily try and emulate anyone else's style. I'm kind of like happy with what I do, and you know, happy to represent what I do. And I think like in kind of the way that we all photo share now and all the platforms and social media, there can be that tendency, I think, to perhaps think, oh, you know, how are these people getting all these jobs and blah, blah, blah. And it kind of like makes you question yourself a bit. And it's still the same for me, really. But I think that once you're happy with what you create and your style, you should stick to it and give that a go before trying or trying anything else. Would be a suggestion that I would say to anybody: believe in what you like and do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's so difficult to have your own self-belief in your industry.
Once you know your style, you can, that's the key, and believe in it. And I think it's really hard to get influenced. It's so easy to be influenced by others because we see so much now, and sometimes you see people doing amazing jobs in fashion and stuff, but you know, you've got to remember those connections are there. You don't know the true story behind the picture. And it's kind of like, you know, lots of people will have lots of contacts, some don't, some do. People find you for different aspects and different reasons. It's just like not to kind of beat yourself up about it and think, because it can kind of take over and become a bit competitive. And I think, you know, we all want to do a job and we all want to get work, but I do believe there's enough work for all of us out there, especially in like industries like forestry. There are a lot of florists, but there is still a lot of work out there for us. And I think that, you know, the more that you just honestly just do what you like and be confident in it, and you'll be fine. But I think it's so easy to get swayed, so I can understand it 100%.
Completely. And I found like because we're a land-based college and we have lots of different departments, like blacksmithing, agriculture, floristry, horticulture, the whole shebang. And I've been doing loads of research Black History Month and been contacting loads of people, and I found that florists just are the main group that have got back to me and really, really helpful and really friendly. So there's definitely, if you're a florist, go and message other florists because they are all lovely. Like 99% of people have all got back to me like, yeah, that's fine, or like, you know, that's different things. So I mean, it's been amazing. Another side question: how has COVID affected your business? Because there seems to be like a boom of sending flowers because it's kind of like a nice gift that you can do. So were you doing that in COVID, or did it kind of affect the event side of it?
It did. It had a massive impact, and it's weird, as you said, because like I've done a couple of like sessions about the impact of COVID on businesses and small business, especially floristry. And whilst kind of like the wedding and event side completely went because obviously nothing was open, the kind of like gift side and bouquet making side was actually quite good over that period. And I don't generally do lots of gift bouquets, but I started doing like regular 2-weekly bouquet, like flower bouquets for people, and it became quite popular actually over lockdown. I've done like a Friday flowers thing, so I'd do like every 2 weeks I'd say like, if you want a bunch of flowers, it's fixed price, and then we just deliver them to your door. And yeah, I think people really connected with, firstly, people probably, if you weren't on furlough or whatever, had a bit more extra income because they weren't traveling to work and stuff, so they had a bit more disposable income. And so I thought, okay, I can treat myself to a nice bunch of flowers. But secondly, I think it really helped people through that period, having something nice in their home, connecting with nature, whatever we want to call it. I think that it brought joy. It allowed people to let people know they're thinking of them. And so it worked on so many levels, kind of like the gift side of things. And yeah, I really enjoyed like delivering stuff to people who haven't seen a loved one for months, and you know, you have a message. It was like a really lovely thing to do. So yeah, it good and bad. I mean, it was nice to do something different, and it was nice to kind of like be a part of sharing people's like story, really, like when they haven't seen people. Some of the messages that you had to write were kind of like quite emotional, but I think
I bet.
the end game to let people know you're thinking of them was a really amazing thing to do over the pandemic.
I mean, there's definitely an element of wanting to have make your house nice, make your space nice. There's definitely, I sent flowers, I received flowers, and it was so nice just to get them and
it's
put
a
them.
really nice thing. Just a nice gift of someone's thinking of you. Or even a treat for yourself, and like a lot of people just bought them for themselves.
You've got to treat yourselves though. Self-care. Support small and treat yourself.
Totally. So that was great.
So do you have a physical shop, or are you all online, or a studio? Could you obviously have a business? Yeah. How can we support your business? Do a plug, be shameless. So people can go follow you afterwards. Shamelessly plug yourself.
It's cool. So I work from my studio at home. So I don't have a shop. I'd love a shop, but maybe that's something for when I finish events and weddings. Like, you don't actually need a shop front for that. So to help with costs, I do everything from here. And the main platform that I post on is Instagram, so it's at Floral Evolution, and Facebook, which is just Floral Evolution. And I am also on Twitter, I think, which is at Floral Evolution 1. I mean, if you Google my name, it generally comes up with my Instagram first and website. So yeah, you should be able to find me.
Awesome. I want people to go and follow you. We've got them up on our Instagram page as well. We've got a highlight for Black History Month, and we're sharing loads of businesses and providers. So you can find them in the floristry bit. So my next question, you kind of talked about a little bit, but how did you get into floristry?
Yeah, I guess so. As I said, I've always liked creative things, and I've done loads of things. I've tried loads of things in the past, from kind of I don't know. I'm one of those people that likes to just give things a go. So I've done upholstery classes with my friend, or I've done a stained glass window 6-week short course. I've tried loads of things. And when I done the short courses in floristry, it was just something that I really was generally not too bad at. I seem to have I never used to spend a lot of money on my material at all, and always managed to create something that looked generally okay. And so I just thought, I could kind of progress this. And after that, I thought, right, let's commit to this. And so that's why I done the course. And, there are a lot of florists around now that don't go through the traditional training and don't learn certain elements of floristry. And I think for me, you have to know the basics, or you can't really do much else. And so it's quite funny, sometimes if you have freelancers who have done a career change course, and I haven't got a problem with any of that, if that's going to be your entry into a new industry. But you do find that people that have gone through a more kind of traditional form of training through colleges and short courses or whatever do seem to have that basic knowledge that you need. So yeah, I would always, I'm a bit biased because that's the route I took, and I think it's in good stead, but I would never discourage people from doing a college-based course. I think it gives you such a good foundation. And then, as I said, freelanced, and then started doing weddings and events because people were asking me, and it kind of just grew from there. So been really lucky because I didn't have any contacts in any industry, and so pretty much had to do everything myself, start from scratch, make my own contacts. And I think with any business, you've got to be brave and be prepared for knockbacks, because you're going to get lots of them. You'll not hear from people that you contacted, but don't be discouraged, because people, for as many emails that you send that you don't get a reply to, you might get one that will completely change the face of what you do. And if you're interested in weddings and events, I would always say contact venues, try and get on their supply lists. Whilst you have to pay a percentage to them, it still means that you've got you're more visible because people can see you on their websites as well as your own, etc., etc. So, you know, just get as much exposure as you can, and if you're lucky enough to have contacts in certain industries, and use them and tap them up and say, you know, I'm doing floristry now, can I design something for you or whatever. But I think it's all about making sure you make as many contacts as possible in the early days, and be brave and be prepared for knockbacks, and don't take them personally, because we all have them at any stage in our career. So yeah, that's my journey, really.
Amazing. And then my last question for you, unless I get sidetracked, I think another one is what do you wish you knew before you started in the industry?
I guess, like, I think competition, I wasn't prepared for kind of like how competitive it can be. And I guess another thing I wish I'd known was kind of like, I feel that making connections is a good thing, and I don't think I made as many connections as I could have done in the early days. I mean, I freelanced a lot, which was kind of like getting me connected with individuals in the industry, but I didn't look wider. And I think it's always good to kind of like make those early connections with people. If you're really interested in fashion, then kind of like get in early, and because like someone's always gonna beat you to it. And so I wish I knew that side of it was incredibly important to make your business grow. And so yeah, I guess that would be one thing. And like the other, it's just like, you know, I will tell anyone anything that they ask me ask me about, because I really believe that we're never going to create the same thing anyway. So I'm quite happy to share knowledge. But I kind of, you know, I wish there was someone that I knew out there that was able to give me a bit more knowledge at the beginning, and I would have sought that person out. And so if there's someone around that you know can help you, mentor you or whatever, then make that connection early, and that will always make things easier for you.
Amazing. Thank you. The bonus question that I'm going to ask everyone: is there any Black-owned businesses that you love in terms of within your industry that sell products, or other florists or anything? I know we've shouted out quite a few, but is there any that you love?
Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of work with the girls at Sage Flowers. They're great. And yeah, very different style of floristry to what I do, but I love what they do. And also, like, there's a few growers. So there's a lady called Forever Green Flower Company, and she's amazing. And she has like a flower farm in Norfolk. And so anyone for kind of like the land-based stuff, she's, as a Black-owned business, she's really great to see. And then like a few freelancers that I work with that are amazing. Beverly Wilson Flowers, she's one of my great friends. She's also a florist. And we work together on lots and lots of projects, and she's great. And so yeah, they're the three off the top of my head. I'd like to mention.
Amazing. But it's been so amazing to chat to you.
Oh, you're welcome.